live.
Hey, Facebook.
Hey, Facebook. Yeah, here we go. Are we good? I mean, is this good? This is behind the scenes, so you get to see us like adjusting and everything.
All right.
And then we're getting pressure to get started here. Oh man.
Oh.
I need to really get the audio cable converter thingy hooked up to my microphone so they can actually hear what you're saying back there too. And all the music and all that. I need to do that. Yeah.
Technology. All right.
What are we doing? Are we doing something? What's happening? All right. Woo! All right, let's do this.
All right.
All right. All right, Chris.
We good? You know, they've got a pill for that.
You haven't had one on you that can borrow?
I do not.
Try it out?
I don't. Fresh out. It was a busy weekend.
Sorry. Too much fun. Hello, this is Matt Barbie with Time for Success, Business Owner Dad's Addiction, not addiction. Hopefully it's your addiction, your new addiction, your healthy addiction.
Yeah.
And I'm here with Chris Ley, a man of many talents and many initiatives, but we in St. Louis know him as one of the co-founders of IKAGG, I Know a Guy / Gal, which is a phenomenal referral Facebook group. And more, and even a networking group, and it's really growing. But Chris, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Oh,
so the
well,
audience knows these
this
things.
ought to be good.
Yes, and the whole like parenting thing. Can you tie that in?
We're gonna
sum it up for me real quick.
Talk about that too.
Yeah.
So my bride Deanna started
I
the I Know a Guy / Gal Facebook group back in February.
It's grown quickly since February.
It has grown quickly.
How many members?
6,400 and growing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Usually about 30 to 40 requests a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, continues to grow. And from that has spun off the IKAGG Connect weekly networking meetings that we're running now. We have 4 of those, and we have 3 more getting ready to launch in January.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. You know, our hashtag, our little motto, if you want to call it that, is hashtag together is amazing.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah, we enjoy it. It really does kind of wrap together the philosophy that we have, a philosophy of abundance, opportunity for everyone, that we can all coexist, we can help each other out, and we can grow from learning about and being together.
Right.
So,
great message.
Yeah, it is a great, and you know, it's something that I think that we've lived by for a long time, but it manifested itself really well during the growth of IKAGG and seeing that become what it is today.
Yeah.
So I have 3 adult children and one new grandbaby.
Congratulations.
She's 7 weeks old today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, 7 weeks.
Yeah. How many weeks old are you, Matt?
All
right.
More than 7, less than 1 million.
It's very mathy. It's too early for math.
Right.
But that's led us to an interesting phase in life. Obviously, with adult children, you know, you hope that you've done your best with them, and you've either built them up or screwed them up, and you don't really know that until they manifest who they are. Right. But with the grandbaby, it really changes your perspective on not necessarily what I would call the parenting, but the ability to be close and be with them, and I'm super excited. Her name is Aria. She is gorgeous.
Beautiful name.
And I'm not just saying that. There's a lot of ugly babies. So
That's fair. Alien babies.
She is not one of those. So we have that going for us, which is nice. But I'm very excited about being close to her, being with her, and I've taken a lot of that excitement, I guess, that's built up in me from hearing other people who had really close relationships with their grandparents, and how that having that generational parenting, if we want to call it that, where they had that opportunity to learn not only from their parents, but from their grandparents and spend that time was very meaningful for them.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to being that guy to that girl.
Oh, yeah, that's phenomenal. Yeah, because it's a different type of relationship in a lot of ways. I mean, you spoil them and send them home, basically.
Well, exactly. But hopefully, I mean, during that time frame, you maybe show them some of the things that they're not going to be exposed to in their world. I mean, again, when we think about where we're at today, let's think about where we're at today as to where we were in 1990, 1986 when I graduated from high school. The world has changed so dramatically.
Exactly.
And with that being said, there are things that we experienced when we were younger. And I know you're quite a bit younger than I am.
A little bit.
Thank goodness for you. But there are things that we experienced when we were younger that are not necessarily experiences that kids are exposed to today.
Right, right.
For a variety of reasons.
Like whenever you have a call, you have to make
that whole dial thing.
For number.
Right. And if somebody had like a bunch of 9s in their number, you just didn't even call them.
Right.
It's like
too much work.
Yeah, too much work. But to be able to share that generational aspect is really what I'm looking forward to. So I have dedicated that when she gets a little bit older, she can't quite do it now, but every Thursday is going to be Paw Aria Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm just going to go over and grab her, and we're going to spend Thursdays together.
Yep.
And
just looking at like old photos and dialing phones.
Whatever it takes. Dial phones, walks in the woods, go to the zoo.
Right. Take some Polaroids.
Lots of Polaroids.
Yeah.
Maybe a Kodachrome.
Okay, there you go.
Now we're going back.
Yeah.
We'll listen to some LPs. Kids, believe it or not, there was a time where music was on plastic that went around in a circle, and you could change the speeds.
Right.
And if you wanted to make the musicians sound like the Chipmunks, you could.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if you played them backwards, you'd hear sinister sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, remember those days?
Yes.
But to experience some of that stuff with her, to try to bring her back to my world, so that she has a more broad idea of what that was like.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of a cool idea that I'm able to share some of those memories and things that I experienced, so that she hopefully will be a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah.
In those things.
Well, I love it too, because grandparents, they want to spend time with kids, but sometimes it's kind of like, well, what do you do? What do you talk about? Like, they're not going to connect. But if you actually, they're not going to connect with the old things maybe, or something like that, but it kind of gives you, it takes that weakness, if you will, of, well, their world nowadays is so much different than what mine was, but it actually kind of makes it a strength. It gives you kind of a focus. It's like, hey, it's kind of your job to kind of teach them, be an additional teacher of kind of history and the way things were, and help them to understand what really life's about. Because we think that kids kind of grow up thinking that life's about the social media and all that, but it's and you get lost in all that.
Well, and to speak to that point, I think we could both agree that social media, although a good thing, has also been a product of distancing people.
Yeah.
Whereas it was designed to bring people together, it was designed to create opportunities. We know that, the social media myth that life is always good, everything's perfect. There's that comparison mentality of things.
Right.
The art of conversation has gone way down.
Right.
And the ability to spend time with someone who is not my child, but is obviously loved by me, and have those conversations and converse, and maybe give her the opportunity to have that in her life is exciting to me.
Yeah.
I think back of when our kids were little, and I know this might sound weird to some parents, but when our kids were little, if we were at a restaurant and maybe their meal wasn't right, it wasn't my responsibility to tell the waiter or waitress, server, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, got to be more clear on that.
Right.
That it was wrong. We put the ownership on the child.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we did that is they have to be able to express themselves in a positive way. You don't have to be a jerk, but you have to be able to express yourself even in a positive way to somebody and say, hey, I'm sorry, this is incorrect, and this is what I asked for.
Right.
And I know that sounds strange, maybe even minimalistic. But it was all part of the whole, you are an adult, even though you're not an adult.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Be able to speak to someone with respect and care about what's going on with your world and get that in return, hopefully.
Right.
And really what it did for our kids was it gave them no fear to be able to speak to adults. I know that there are a lot of children that don't speak to adults. They don't have a conversation with adults. They only stay with their peer group. And I think that's because their parents had sheltered them so much from just the simplest conversations.
Right.
It's that whole helicopter mom and dad and I'm going to take care of you, little one, and don't you worry about it. I'll take care of everything. That doesn't enable those children to be able to have the simplest of conversations.
Right. Right.
And to have a healthy respect for adults is definitely something that we taught our children. But at the same time, you have the ability to speak to them. You don't have to be afraid to have that conversation.
Right.
And I'm not saying talk to strangers. We don't want phone calls. What I'm saying is, in an opportunity to have a conversation with an adult, my children can do that.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily something I come across very often in their generation.
Yeah, I got to say, even my my 13-year-old, she's a wonderful girl, and I love her, but she's a little bit on the shyer side. So whenever we go out, it can be hard for her to even order her own food. But I try to encourage her, and to do that. I know that she was really tired after the soccer game, and we went out for ice cream. And she's like, can you just order for me? And I'm like, all right, well,
Well, that's
I get,
obviously circumstantial.
Right. But typically it's like, oh, come on, you can do it. But it's funny that you bring up like this. If something's not right, I was just out for dinner last night, and they accidentally put like an extra salad on my ticket, and yeah, I mean, you could be like, that's not right, you need to fix it. Which I've heard people kind of go that route, or I mean, I've even got a friend who have a family member who every time they would go to a restaurant, they would always try to complain about something to get something for free. Even if it was the littlest thing. And I guess that's one method of watching your budget.
Yeah,
but it's like, hey, I didn't order the salad. Would you mind taking that off of there? And it's like, oh yeah, sure. But I mean, it could have gone a couple of different ways.
Sure.
But I understand, busy, big group, eating dinner. So I love that. So,
well, my mom had a philosophy, and my dad, mom and dad.
Yeah.
You could tell a tremendous amount by a person about how they treat servers.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I've instilled that in my children to say, look, you may think a person is absolutely wonderful. Then you go out to dinner with them and you see how they treat someone who's in a service industry.
Yeah.
And they treat them really poorly.
Right.
That's very indicative to their character. It truly is.
100%.
And that may not be the person that you want to associate with, do business with, because ultimately that person is going to turn that same type of ire on you.
Right.
If you're in a relationship of some sort. So it's a great litmus test to see the true character of how someone acts in their, I guess, entitlement world.
Right. Was it Henry Ford that they say would always take prospective employee leadership team out to dinner, even if you put salt on your meal before tasting it,
right?
He would basically write you off.
Right.
Like, no, because that was too impulsive. So it's interesting that there's different ways that you can tell. But I love that server aspect of it because even for folks that I work with, and we celebrate wins with the whole team. Yeah, it can be easy to forget the janitor, right?
Right.
Or the secretary or the administrative assistant, and
exactly
because sometimes maybe they weren't directly involved in a big sale or something like that, but they're still part of the team,
right?
And
it's funny you say that because I was at a banquet one time where this guy was rattling off all the people that he thanked, and he never thanked his assistant.
Oh my God!
And the whole time I'm thinking, when's he going to say her name?
Right.
Because I know for a fact. I mean, I knew her, and I knew how he ran his business, and I knew that without her, he was dead in the water. And it's funny because shortly after that event, she left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know if that was a catalyst for that, but it definitely spoke to the fact that she felt undervalued. And I think that's, you know, in all that we do, we want to feel like we're providing value and that we are valued.
Right.
And that was very indicative of the way he thought.
Yeah.
You know, the people he was thanking were the people that were purely the ones that he immediately thought would benefit him more.
Right.
As opposed to the person who was benefiting him the most.
Right.
Interesting.
I just want to say thank you to my wife out there.
Hey, exactly.
She's awesome. Right.
While we're on the subject,
right.
Honey, I love you.
Yes, yes. What I love about what you're talking about there is kind of a secret to success. And I'd love to hear more about how you define success, and we can get in that moment. But kind of a secret to success for you is basically, you know, how you value people. Yes. And in personal relationships and family, teaching your family those values, and then in your business as well. So obviously that's probably a part of kind of how you define success. But how do you and your family define that?
You know, it's I think success is a personal evaluation.
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes when we're comparative with success, we end up in a situation of a lack of abundance mentality.
That's good. Yeah.
And if you go around all day long saying, how does that jerk have everything and I don't, guess what you're going to have? Nothing.
Right.
Because you're very concerned and focused on what that person has as opposed to what you don't have.
Right. Right.
And even in success, it can be very easy for someone to say, my success should be based upon what that person has attained or what that person has attained. Yeah. And setting somebody up for that is actually a recipe to me for failure. Mm-hmm. What is success? I mean, what is success? I mean, I really ask that question to myself quite often. Sure. For me, it really does come down to relationships.
Yeah. That's good.
I don't believe that at any point when I'm on my deathbed am I going to sit there and say, well, I'm so glad I have all this money. Yeah. It's not that I don't believe money is good. Money does great things. Money's not the root of all evil. It's how you handle it and what you think of it. I mean, let's just be real about money. The people that say money is the root of all evil typically don't have any. Right. And they probably never will. Because they probably never will. A very negative energy, if you will. Exactly. Yeah. They've pushed it into a bad place. Yeah. Now, with that being said, I also don't hold to the whole mentality of the 80s, which I grew up in, which is whoever dies with the most toys wins. Right. What I'd love to be able to do is know that my success is based upon relationships and experiences. That's good. And experiences within those relationships. I recently had a conversation with someone who's going through a very rough time. And this person and I met, I want to say just about a year ago. And while our relationship from a depth perspective is not super deep, yeah, I can definitely understand what they're going through. Yeah. And I've been through it myself. And as opposed to, I mean, I got an email from this person saying, hey, I need to change this and do this. And as opposed to just responding to that email, I made that phone call. Yeah. And said, look, you know, regardless of what you're going through, and I know it sucks. Yeah. I know it's not good. I've been there myself. We're here for you. We're going to be here for you. And it's not just empty words for me to say, if there's anything you need, please reach out. Right. Because that's one of the things about having a broad wealth of relationships. If there is anything that person needs, I know I can reach out to my relationships if I can't facilitate the help that they need. Right. And I wouldn't have that if I isolated myself and didn't see the value in other people and only saw value in what I do. Right. So we talked about, and value does come back to the equation a lot for me. I firmly believe that I can learn from absolutely everybody I encounter. And I believe that everybody has a value. Yeah. And with that being said, you can learn both good and bad things. Right. But if you're always a constant learner and a giver, and an understander that people have value. Right. You come from a place of worth. You come from a place of wealth. You come from a place of abundance, and you come from a place of love.
That's good.
And if I can love people wherever they're at, not casting my net over them, but just loving them where they're at, I can see the value in them. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. You know, I was actually just at this networking event. There was somebody who was talking, and you know, they were kind of talking about some of the things that I do as well or whatever. And kind of afterwards, I was talking to another gentleman there, and we got to kind of talking about some of the business stuff. But I had known from the previous month of discussing some things with him that really he was kind of going through some more spiritual things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was just talking to him. I'm like, hey, man, put all that other stuff aside because I know you're going through these other spiritual things. Like, you know, and I was just kind of trying to talk with him and say, hey, you know, I'd be there for you. You know, hey, because he hasn't ever or hasn't for a long time, like been to a church or something like that. Yeah. And, but it is something that's important to him and growing in importance. I'm like, man, if you need somebody just to go to a church with you because he's, you know, a single guy, I'm like, I'd be happy to do that. You know, let's figure it out because I know that you're trying to get to a better place. And yeah, I mean, just loving on people and trying to take care of them where they're at. You know, you can't worry about all the other stuff. All the other stuff, just like the principle of the show that really, if you really focus on the principles of success, and one of them being, you know, bringing value and loving on other people and taking care of other people, other things fall into place.
Yeah, how can that be wrong? How can that be bad?
Right.
I mean, if you're coming from a place of love and understanding and caring, you can't possibly manifest bad things. And I'm not trying to get into the whole world of good and bad and pure, you know, evil and all that.
Right, exactly.
What I'm really saying is it's very impossible for me to treat someone poorly if my goal is to treat them well. Right.
Actually, last night again, somebody stood up and was talking about how he, you know, somebody who became a judge at a very young age, about 40, and he asked him, you know, what was the secret? Like, how did you achieve this? You know, fairly young. And the guy's like, I try to be good to people. Yeah. You know, and you wouldn't necessarily even think that to be a judge, you know, to be good to people. I don't know if that necessarily flows logically for a lot of people, but
yeah. Have you ever seen that video of that one judge that like people come up?
Yes.
I can't remember his name. I wish I remembered his name. He's a great guy. But people come up with and they're in a bad place. Yes. I mean, they wouldn't be in front of a judge typically if they weren't in a bad place anyway. Right. But something circumstantial, something that maybe even they did themselves. They you know, they're in front of this judge, and he is so kind. I mean, he's still he understands that the law is the law. Right. But he's a very kind-hearted individual who says, you know, I'm not going to just say this is the law and this is how I should treat you and here's your minimum sentence and here's your max. He's not that kind of guy. Right. And when I see those videos, I think to myself, there's probably a lot of people that sit there and say, well, he's a lousy judge. Right. You know, because he's not hammering these people. Exactly. But if they were standing there and getting hammered, how would they feel? Exactly. You know? Exactly. And I love that guy. I love the way he, I like his philosophy on law. And, be kind to people. Right. It's amazing what you can do.
Well, yeah. You know, we see so many times that judges and cops are kind of vilified and whatnot. But at the same time, every time you see one of them that are doing, you know, going the extra mile to be a good influence. Right. I mean, you got to think that it really changes the nature of people's viewpoint on that.
You would hope.
You would hope. You would hope. But again, you know, going back to IKAGG.
Yeah, let's talk about that monster.
Yeah, well,
I love it.
It's 6,400 members in that group, and since February. Yes. And I think it was really built on that idea of how do you help other people get the resources that they need, the connections that they need. How do you and with that abundance mentality, because it's not like you limit it to so many people of a certain profession or something like that. It's all, hey, let's all get in here and you know, share your stories of people that you work with and recommendations and all that. So tell me a little bit more about how that even kind of developed in the first place.
Well, it manifested itself actually by accident.
Okay. All right. That's all great things.
When
right?
Deanna started with the idea of I know guy/gal, she had seen something similar in another market, but it was done in order to promote her clientele for the publication that she produces for Clarkson Valley.
Okay. Yeah.
And with that being said, she created the IKAGG group to do that, to kind of promote her people. But she also invited all the people that she was networking with, the people in her tribe,
right,
to be in the group.
Yeah.
And quickly her tribe just took over. And they're like, you know what, we're inviting our people. We're inviting our people. So you had tribesmen inviting tribespeople and tribeswomen, and it just grew and grew and grew because more people were saying, hey, this is a safe place for me to do what I need to do. Because Deanna had set up some pretty strong parameters of what was allowed and what wasn't.
Yeah.
When we would do certain things and when we wouldn't. And our role in IKAGG is to facilitate.
Yeah.
To allow it to be the organic growth that it is. But also to make sure that members understand there are certain rules that have to be followed. And it's a unique experience.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's truly a unique experience for the user because it's unlike any other Facebook group that's out there.
Yeah.
It's not heavy on the self-promotion because, I mean, if you go to some of those groups and it's like, I'm the greatest roofer, I'm the greatest plumber, I'm the greatest this, I'm the greatest that. Nobody interacts with that.
Right.
But if we have some subjects that people can interact with and we have opportunity for people to self-promote properly, and then, of course, ask for those recommendations. I mean, when you ask for a recommendation on there, you get 20 or 30.
Right.
And you see the same names popping up again and again and again and again. These are individuals that have obviously gone out and proven their value to these other individuals, or they wouldn't recommend them.
Right. Well, I love the IKAGG group and the positivity and the
man.
abundance mindset that you guys bring. And, you know, again, this was Chris Ley with IKAGG. I know a guy, I know a gal. Also, you're right, you're a guy. We didn't even hit upon that. Well. But
that's my passion
this
project.
was Time for Success, Business Owner Dad's Edition. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
Good?